But I do know... Oh god, this chair is creaking so much. Alright. I was talking about the running though. But that's also the problem, right? I'm actually enjoying recording myself and thinking that people are going to watch this. May watch it. Okay, so what kind of options do I have for running? Right, I can go into the park here, and then there's like, well, a lot of it has been like dug up because they've been cutting down a lot of trees that have been that had an encounter with the bark beetle, and therefore these trees have died. Well, the reason of course is because the local forestry department thought it wise to plant a lot of spruce trees because they grow fast and they help the industry to drive the forest against the wall. Because the forests all over the world are more about economics, so about, you know, what resources can be used, than about, oh nice, we have forest. No, it's like, oh, there's a lot of wood, let's chop it up. And let's, you know, plant the trees that help us the most instead of keep the trees that would help the forest the most. Which is like, you know, big oaks and beeches and stuff. But instead, no, you cut the biggest one away that would give the forest like stability. You cut them away, like 200-year-old trees or something, because they make a lot of wood. It's fucking mental, really. It makes... It's like slaughtering. It's the same thing they're doing with cows, they're doing it with trees, and nobody looks at that these things are living beings that have stood there for quite a long time, and we just cut them away. It's fucking mental. Anyway, so I don't like running here anymore. Because first of all, you know, it's all like a construction site, it seems like that. Then there's too many people, there's like dog shit everywhere. And, you know, if I would want to go for a run, I like to go for like 40, 50, 60 minutes without seeing someone and without running the same, you know, I don't like running in circles, so I don't want to run 5 circles to get to the amount I want to run to. But the other option I have is also the same kind of dead-end route that always leads me back over a lot of streets. Like pavement. I don't like that. So no, I don't want to go running. And as much as I'm trying to convince myself that it's good for me, it's not good for me because I would hate it. But I do realize I should do something else with my energy. And I also do realize that the amount of energy I have available, if I don't masturbate. So sometimes I find myself just masturbating because I just want to get rid of it. Because it's annoying. Because I don't want to run, but maybe I should just do it. But I just don't want to. And then I end up drinking coffee because it gets rid of my energy faster. But then I get indigestion and then I eat more sugar. So running would actually be the easiest solution. And then I think, if I just had a car. I don't want to have a car. I mean, I want to have a car in a way, but I don't want to have a car so that I can drive somewhere to run there. Because that would be a drag too. Then I would have to go into the car. I just want to live right next to a forest that's big enough for me to run long distances. So I think in order to do the things that you want to do, maybe it's wise to work towards a better future. Because maybe there are certain things you can't do right now. It's like cycling. I simply say I don't have a bicycle. So I wait till my financial situation changes and I can actually afford a bike and have my own place. But right now, I don't have a bicycle. So I also have more energy to create videos, write books. Because right now it's important to do these things. I feel like that. I feel like it's important to do these things because right now I want to have my energy entirely for my creative work. Simply because I have nothing else to do. And that's why, yes, there are some cutbacks in my social life, definitely. Sometimes I struggle because of that. Like physical contact for once, right? I see my dad. He's been diagnosed with corona, and everybody treats him like an outcast. So it's like the plague has actually broken out and everybody treats him. I mean, maybe they would catch, is it leprosis or lepra? Where your limbs start falling off or something. I don't know much about that. But, that's how my family's treating him. Like, they don't come near him. And they walk around with these masks inside the house. And to me, I just go to him. I put my hand on his shoulder and just sit next to him. I have a meal with him. The rest, they don't even enter the living room. Now he wasn't allowed to sleep in the bedroom anymore because my mother, doesn't want him around. And that's the thing, everybody's so goddamn fucking selfish. Imagine he would be really sick now. Nobody would take care of him except for me. They're all so selfish because they're so afraid, that they could catch something from him, that they then cannot go working anymore, and they don't want that. It's not even about solidarity or anything. It's just about them, that they don't want to be sick. So suddenly they shut out a human because he has a flu. And I'm the only one who thinks that's weird. And I'm the only one, that just continues like nothing happened. And I just find that highly ridiculous. How selfish everybody is. Boy, it is much nicer with sugar. Disgusting. Now, if you want to find out if you like something, try eating it without sugar. That's just disgusting. Bleh. Sorry. Coffee is really disgusting stuff. You don't even have to fake that, it's just disgusting. Like, if the sugar doesn't hide the taste, it just tastes like shit. Nah. Anyway, so yeah, running's kind of out of the option. Of course, I can do more workout, but I'm kind of fine with doing these really slow push-ups where you hold it and you try to do 20 and then you go down and you hold it and you go up. You try to do 20 of these, like perfect form. I think that's much better than these quick ones. And also the quick ones make you look like an idiot. That's really like jerking off that's really like that. And that's why I actually don't want anymore, because some people, they really train like they would masturbate. And they're always looking like for something to happen, you know, and they're training, and they're always checking if somebody looks at them. It's like, oh, you know, oh, am I doing good? Like, oh yeah, people see me, yeah, oh. It's really like that. And I find that disgusting. And that's why I actually do like slacklining, sometimes without a shirt, because it just helps me realize that I actually don't do it for people to wank off on me, but just for me to feel free. And sometimes it's just that feeling of, you know, I want the wind to go over my skin, and I just feel that, like, it's a nice feeling. But then everybody, and that's what you have to be aware of, even if you're just doing it for yourself, other people might get attracted to that. And I talked about this already, but I might just recap it. This one time where I was doing calisthenics, which kind of just ruined it for me. When I was training, you know, it was a hot day. I was training without a shirt, and the calisthenics park is like in an open city. It's like in the city, and not the center, but close to it. And there's a lot of homeless people. And because I'm kind of outgoing, and I used to spend some time with them, you know, now they sometimes, especially one guy, he often comes to me and then has a chat or something, but I don't really talk anymore that much with him. But it doesn't really matter, because just that one time where I was doing these, like, you do push-ups, but at an angle, you know, you have these bars that are like at hip height or something. I was doing push-ups without a shirt. And then there was this drunk lady. Shit, she was so drunk. She was just sitting there. That's a sight for sore eyes. You know, why can't it just be normal? Like, why does everything have to be sexualized? The other day, and it's so terrible, I was walking through the city. And sometimes I really have to stop myself from not pointing my finger at people and saying something to them to make them feel a little bit ashamed about what they're doing. But then I remind myself, just let them do whatever the fuck they want. It's like being in the park, slacklining or something, and then I see these people with the phone sitting there like, you know, a married couple sitting next to each other. And I so badly want to go there and say something. Something like, you know, that's why I always leave my phone at home when I leave the house, right? But then I realize, in a way, I cannot do this because, I mean, I have my own things. Like, I keep drinking coffee and then I go around telling people what they shouldn't do. I mean, that's like quite hypocritical, but on the other hand, I also kind of like it. Like the other day I was walking around the park, and there were two women walking outside in nature, and they were both looking at their phones. I don't know why people do that while walking. Why do they do that? And then I walked past them and I said, well, people watch The Walking Dead. Well, you know, there's just zombies everywhere. Something along those lines, right? I can't really recall what I say. But sometimes I just do these things. Because in a way it makes, I have the feeling that at least people will feel a bit stupid for what they're doing. Because what the worst thing about this kind of behavior is that it sets an example for younger people. So yes, I do feel, why am I drinking so much coffee in my videos? Because people will watch that and maybe they will think, oh, it's okay to drink so much coffee. Well, at least I talk about it. You could say that, you know, I'm not acting like it's the best thing to do because it actually is shit for me. I'm doing it anyway. But then people stand around smoking like, you know, just not concerned at all. I once said to a woman, like, children will see this and they will imitate you. She doesn't give a shit. Because she wants to smoke. And because she wants to kill herself, you know, I have to inhale her shit. I don't understand why this is allowed at all. Like, why are cigarettes allowed? Why? Why is Coke allowed? Like, why is coffee in such amounts allowed? While having a government that is supposed to be responsible for us. That's what they claim, and that's what why people are supposed to pay tax, right? Because they take care of the things. Like what? I mean, I just see a whole bunch of bullshit going on. And I think that's just nothing where I would want to pay tax for. And hence, it's a decision to pay tax or not. But we're being told you have to, and then they're even advertising it. Because I think, actually, that there's quite a lot of people that don't pay tax. Otherwise, why would they need to advertise it? I think there's quite a lot of people that just earn money, they don't pay tax for that. But then you have these good citizens that just pay tax voluntarily. But yeah, I mean, governments can never have enough tax, right? That's why they're always increasing them. So I think the best way to show the government that you're displeased with it is to just quit your job, you know, where like tax is already deducted from your salary, and just earn money through other things like creative work, like start selling stuff and don't pay tax. I believe you don't have to do it. I think you can just sign out from whatever city you're signed in with. Like, listen, right? This may sound easier than it is. Like, I find it highly complicated. But I keep hammering my head about ways how to get out of the system while still kind of being a part of it. Like, nobody talks about these things, what's possible, because probably the people who have figured out some ways, they don't talk about it because they're afraid that the government, you know, will pick up on them and then, you know, enforce tax payment on them or something. So, but I think we just have to talk about these things openly, like what alternatives are there? Like, if I don't want to feed that, you know, giant organization, Germany, die Bundesrepublik Deutschland, then what options do I have? You know, maybe I still want to drive a car. I don't need insurance, but maybe I still want to drive a car. Like, how can I do that? Because I've tried it once, to drive a car that wasn't signed in and stuff. And then the police got me. So how do you deal with these kind of things, right? Because just because I live in that kind of area or I drive a car in that kind of area, I mean, can they really force rules upon me? I mean, now there's a guy who claims to be the king of, I don't know, free Germany or something. So it's basically a country He created himself. And he's legally signing property out of the Bundesrepublik Deutschland and signing it into his kingdom. And he produces his own kind of passports and stuff. And he can travel with that. It's legal. And then people say, oh, you have to, be in Germany. If you're in that area, you have to sign into Germany. And then you have to pay tax. And then you hear these kind of stories from people who don't do that, who say, goodbye. But then, I'm asking you again, if I'm like a private person, like just a normal person, and maybe that's already where it starts, because he says that as soon as you're a person, legally you're not really a human anymore, you're more like a thing, right? Because now you're a person, so you're a subject of Germany or something. But I don't think that really applies, because I didn't really choose to be that, right? I was born here in that area, and then, my parents just signed me in to be a German. Well, I don't want to be a German, and I'm not a German. I'm just me. And I can say I'm Christopher, but that's just a name. What my heart says is something else. I just use that name because it was given to me and people can somehow relate to it. But so, as a spiritual being in this fucking madness, like this kind of matrix, this kind of system, how can I cope here? Because we talk about, the dignity. It's kind of untouchable, right? What does that mean? So I feel like, as a person of that country, Germany, I just want to keep saying Bundesrepublik Deutschland. I have to check this because it makes me nervous. Okay, there's still a bit to go. So, as a person in this country, I don't have dignity. Because they tell me I have to wear masks, and if it was according to the rules, I would have to do it. This is taking away my dignity. And it's taking away my freedom of speech and opinion, because I cannot openly say on YouTube or outside that, for example, I don't believe in Corona. I cannot say that, because then there will be consequences, whether that will be being like having my channel deleted or having to pay a fine. So how do you deal with these things? For example, if you want to keep producing content on YouTube, I'm sure there is a way to kind of, fight these things. But if it's in terms of, I live in a certain area, and for example, I want to buy a house, or I want to rent an apartment, like somehow I have to have some kind of documents, don't I? But that's the thing, like, the only reason why I have to have these documents is because the landlord asks me to have them. So all I have to find is a landlord that doesn't care about these documents and that just lets me live there, and I just give him the money cash, and then he doesn't have to tell the government anything. Well, that's what the government plays with. It's the fear of the people. So now the landlord is afraid that the government will realize that he's receiving money, but he didn't say that he has this kind of tenant. So he's afraid now that they will pick it up and that he will have to pay a fine. Well, then just don't talk about it, right? And even if they fine you, who says you have to pay that? Maybe just don't open the letters. I mean, that would be a solution. Because if you buy a house, I mean, you could just have people live there. But for tax reasons, and here it starts, people are being told that, if somebody lives with you, for tax reasons, you have to tell the government, to be correct, that there's somebody living paying rent. Why would you have to do that? Like, I'm living with my parents. Well, I'm not paying rent, but I could be paying rent. And if I would pay rent, they would probably, tell the government that I'm paying rent so that he can, have tax deductions or something. It's ridiculous. Like, people really think that any cent that they earn, they have to tell the government about, and then they're gonna pay tax for it. What the fuck? But that's already the mindset, because you think you have to pay tax, which you don't. But try talking about the mob, or any regular person, even spiritual people. Go to them and say that to them. They will say, it's impossible. Like the other day, I was talking to a friend. We met with 3 people. And I was talking to him. And I said, I would want my children, I don't want my children to go to school. And he said, you cannot do this. Think of the social consequences. Yeah, I do. Yeah, your children, they won't have friends. What the fuck? First of all, why do children need friends? Can't I decide this myself? Like, who are you to tell me that? And he's claiming to be spiritual. And I find that highly disturbing, because it's none of his fucking business. So why does he tell me what I'm supposed to do with my children? And that's exactly what the state is doing. But because the state already is so deep in the minds of the people, they start attacking each other if they try to, be a bit more free. And that's just twisted, isn't it? Because now I say I don't want my kid to go to school because I think, it took me years to work out the trauma that I got in school. So what are you trying to tell me? That I'm doing something bad for my children to keep them away from that? To keep them away from what is going on right now, with the testing. Well, now it seems to have stopped. But these children are highly traumatized now. And I was highly traumatized after school. They fucking broke me. And I had to work myself out of that shit. Why would I willingly do that to my child and think I'm helping it? And that's just fucking mental. That the state is acting like, the good parent, we're helping you. But that's just the biggest bullshit of all of it. Holy moly.